Hi, my name is Adam Levy, and I want to just share something with you that I found to be really useful on the guitar. The great thing about the guitar is that it's a big sound. Like, it's this little box, we can carry it around, it's really portable. And as you take it out of the case and you start playing chords and strumming, it's a big, huge sound. That's wonderful. That's maybe even while we got started, we heard somebody else play the guitar and we're like, wow, that's amazing. I want to do that. But what I find with working as a studio musician, that's a lot of the work that I do is, playing on recordings and stuff. The guitar can actually be too big. And in the same way that maybe you wouldn't just have, in the studio anyway, you wouldn't want to have a microphone that just picked up everything all the time equally. That's not really how a good record gets made. Good records, you want to have a balance of frequencies. You want to have some stuff in the low register and some stuff in the middle register and some stuff in the upper register. And you find ways to balance all that stuff. So that's a lot of what engineers are doing. They're figuring out which mics they want to use, where they want to place them, and then, from the mixing console, which things they want to kind of accentuate, which things they want to tuck in a little bit. When we're playing the guitar as a session guitar player, we need to be mindful of that and not give the engineer too much information that's not really going to be useful in the track, not really going to support it. So I want to just talk a little bit about playing smaller things and kind of staying in your own lane. So one thing that we can do is to actually play smaller versions of the chords we already know. So here's an E chord, and if there's a track and there's bass and drums and maybe another guitar and maybe piano stuff going on, I might choose not to just strum away on the whole E chord, but I might focus on just the upper part of it. Now, I'm playing the same shape with my hand, but by what I choose to do with my right hand, I'm actually just right now really focused on the three upper treble strings. Now I'm going to try to go a little more into the mid-range. So now I'm like on the middle strings. Now I'm going to get down to the bottom. And any of those could be useful in a room when it's just me. The difference between those might not seem like a lot, but when you're in the studio and you've got a microphone like right here, well, here's a microphone right here, and you listen to what else is happening around you, the difference between those three things could actually be a really big deal. It's, almost like when you're in a studio and the drummer spends 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure out the right snare drum for the particular track you're doing, or the right tuning for that drum. Sometimes I've seen drummers put like a little cloth over a drum to just get it to sound just the way they want it to. So instead of trying to get this big sound that has everything, it's more like, no, let's just get really specific about what it is we're trying to do. So that's one way, is I'll just focus on certain strings. Now, that was a strumming thing. Any of that could also be a finger picking thing. I can pick on just the high strings. Those four choices would have a different thing. Now, I haven't gone up the neck at all. I'm just still playing E in this one area. Of course, you could also play things that are not on adjacent strings. You could skip strings, but then that starts to get into the cloudy, too much thing. But just so you can hear what that sounds like, here's that same pattern. What I was doing was this. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to skip a string. That might work. You have to try it out. And if it seems like studio guys just do this stuff, without thinking about it too much, it's probably because they've already put in thousands of hours. I don't have like a secret formula, like if this, do this, if this, do that. The most important thing is to just pay attention. Like if I could give you one guitar tip that trumps all guitar tips, it's pay attention. Listen to what's happening, pay attention. So okay, so that's one thing. Another thing that can be useful besides isolating certain string sets is playing in different areas of the guitar. In order to do that, having a capo can be super duper useful. So let's again say the song's in E. If it's in E, I might start here. Maybe it just goes 1, 4, 1. With a capo, I know if I go up 2 frets, I can, instead of going back and forth between E and A, I could go D and G. Not a dramatic difference, but if you were in the studio and you could see what the frequencies were, it's like, oh, I'm actually in a different frequency range now. That's going to sit differently depending on what else is going on. I can also play here. Now I'm in C shape at the 4th fret, and I would go C, F. And again, we could do smaller bits. Or and on. There's 5 different ways to get to the key of E with a capo. I've done 3 of them. There's one here, A to D, with the capo at the 7th fret. And then the last one would be up here, capo 9, played in G shape. Now the chords are G. They look like G and C. They still sound like E and A. Now, that's a simple enough thing. I hope you have a capo. If you don't have a capo, get yourself a capo. And work on simple chord progressions, 1-4, 1-5, things that are going to come up over and over again in all kinds of songs. And work on those moves, and then maybe take a whole song, something really simple, a folk song, just a song that you like to play that's got some simple chords to it. And see if you can learn to do that transposition more quickly. When you first start out, it's going to be difficult. Get a pencil and paper, make a spreadsheet if that's helpful to you. Whatever tools you need to get there, that's okay. It's just, I found when I first started playing, I had a capo because I was learning songs off of records that had capos. As soon as I got into jazz, I threw the capo away, and I was like, oh, capos are just like cheating. I'm not going to use that. But in fact, it really helps me, instead of bringing 5 guitars to a session that are tuned higher and lower, like I'll bring my baritone guitar, I'll bring my standard guitar, I'll bring my guitar that's tuned up a 4th. Like, you can make kind of a lot of that happen, at least the going up part. You might want to bring a baritone, but sometimes I can cheat that sound by just dropping 1 or 2 of the bottom strings. It really opens up the guitar to be, the size of a piano. Again, though, coming back to the basic idea that I started with here was that doesn't mean you're going to play all of it all at once, but you want to be able to play in different registers and be able to stay within those registers so that when other people are doing their thing and you stay where you are and you listen to what everyone's doing, you can find a spot where the guitar really speaks and really shines in its own way, in a smaller way, but in the right way for the song that you're working on. So that's the idea. Pay attention, see if you can make bigger things into smaller things, and not just smaller things, but specific things. Great guitar parts a lot of times has to do with specificity more than trying to do everything all at once. So that's the big idea. Hope you find this helpful. Hope you can use it on your next recording session or on a gig, at a jam session, wherever you find yourself playing the guitar.